Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to show you a quick video on how to brush your dog to maintain them in between their grooms. Normally on a poodle with this type of coat I would be using a pin brush. However, today for the video I'm going to show you a slicker brush, as this is the type of brush a lot of people will buy from their groomers or to maintain the dogs in between their grooming appointments. We will also follow up with a comb, as it's really important when you have a dog with longer coat to make sure that you're getting to the base of their fur to make sure you get any mats out or any tangles. We're going to start with her head first, and what I'm going to do first is I brush away from her eyes, taking care to not brush her actual eye, as these can poke them. So I just want to get any knots that are in the front out. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find her ear and I'm going to brush the top of it. You also want to make sure when you're brushing your dog that you don't brush a dry coat. So have a spray bottle with leave-in spray or water if you're maintaining her at home, and lightly mist her coat. So I want to make sure I'm getting to the base of her fur, all the way down to the skin. That's where a lot of mats will be located when you wash your dog at home, is at the base of the fur. So a lot of times people will brush like this and they will brush over the whole coat of their dog and they get the top part, but what happens underneath is the fur has matting underneath. So if you can see this, I'm separating the hair and I'm brushing to the bottom. What I'm going to do is called line brushing. And basically, when I separate the fur, I'm going to pull a little bit down in a line. And this ensures that I'm getting the next section of hair combed out from the base of the fur. I'm going to keep doing that until I have the entire head, or in her case top knot, completely brushed out. So I'm going to pull down the next line, making sure that I take care to mist her hair with each line to prevent coat breakage and also to prevent static. As you can see, when the hair is dry and you're brushing it, it has a tendency to come up and want to stick to the brush. Again, taking care that I get down to the roots of her hair to prevent any mats from staying in. And you can feel when there's a mat in there, you can feel it pulling. You can also hear it if it's quiet when you're brushing, and it almost sounds like a static shock. And there's one right here. So when I find a mat, I'm going to lightly tap at it with the brush. I don't want to brush hard because I don't want to run the risk of giving her brush burn, which is basically brushing in an area over and over and over again until the skin is raw. And then dogs have a tendency to scratch those areas if they can't reach them, because as it's healing, it will start to itch and irritate them, or they lick it if it's an area that they can get to because it is irritated and it may hurt them or it may itch as it starts to heal. So now we're back at the front where I've already brushed. So I'm going to gather up her hair so she can see. First, I'm going to run a comb through. Be careful again not to catch your dog's eye. You want to be really aware of where you put the brush and the comb. And I'm going to go through her hair to make sure that I don't have any mats or tangles or knots left in her coat. Once I've determined that I've brushed it all out, I'm going to section off from the side and the side here, and I'm going to draw a line across with my comb. If you don't have a comb, you can also do this with your fingers or with your brush. And I'm just going to try and get it even. Gather it up and secure it with a little scrunchie. You can get these little scrunchies at the dollar store or at Walmart. They also have little plastic type rubber bands or latex that keep the hair from breaking as it would with a regular rubber band. Okay, I make sure that it's not too tight and that she can see. And if you're not sure if it's too tight, see if you can if you touch her eye, see if she'll blink. If she can blink without any problems, then that means her top knot is not too tight. So now I'm going to come to her ear, and I flip the ear over first, so that way I can see what I'm looking at underneath. Again, we want to spray. I'm going to cover her ear so it doesn't get uncomfortable for her. She doesn't like her ears messed with, as a lot of dogs don't, and so they will dip their head and try and get away from you while you're trying to brush it. So can you hear that noise? That's a mat or a knot or a tangle. And we're going to get to that in another clip on how to get out the tangles. When you're brushing a dog's ear, you want to be extremely careful of where their leather ends, or the ear itself, the skin. You want to make sure that you are not repeatedly going over the same spot, because the tines with little metal pieces on your brush can scrape the skin and cause the ear to bleed. So I'm always aware of where her skin ends. It's right here. Sometimes I will put my thumb there to make sure that I'm not catching the leather of her ear with the tines of the brush. So I do a couple of strokes and I move over into another area. That way I make sure I'm not repeatedly going over one section over and over and over again, which will make sure that I do not give her brush burn on her ear. Once I feel like the bottom of the ear has been properly brushed, I will then flip it over and do the top of the ear. Again, spritzing it a couple of times to lessen the chance of coat breakage and to cut down on the static cling. Remember to be aware of where her ear starts, and keep your hand underneath her ear and put your thumb where the ear ends. That way you're always aware of where her ear is. As I go to the side of her ear, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to spritz it one more time. And I'm going to comb now to the side. The reason I'm combing to the side is I'm doing another form of line brushing. You can see her skin, so I know I'm getting to the roots of the hair. And I know I'm brushing out any mats that might be in her ear. Now I can comb from the top, where I originally combed it before we did the top knot. And you can hear how quiet it is when I comb it. That means there's no mats on that side. She does have a couple on the back side of her ear, which we'll get when we tackle the mats that are on her neck. Be careful if your dog is a puller and they don't like you doing their ear or brushing their ear. You want to make sure when you're holding on to it that you're not pulling them, because you can easily injure their ear or hurt them. She's dipping her head and I'm allowing her to do that. I will do what's comfortable for her in order to be able to brush her. So then I'm going to take my comb and I'm going to double check that I've got all of her knots or her mats out on this side. So there's one, I can feel it there. And there's another. If it becomes too hard to get out with your comb, go back to your brush and do a couple little taps and see if you can get it that way. There we go. Then I'm going to flip her ear over again and I'm going to comb through it and make sure that it's tangle or mat free. There you go.